So so down there is you. Undu ya ma cha se lo da fa ka de sanga de bo de so da da so da da de para sa de bo de so ha ai ke re tong la ke de shi ba tan de ne kan Jampa zhou xuan fen zhong zao ju. Yo sa xie pei yi zhou xin ai dou zhang, ri zhang ling xi ni fei kian wang di, san ye xing du ming de e wan ki, zhou gu lan da xing la che pa ra xiu. Da xin liu nga yi song long jue ju song ge zhe jie. 只见面的三不五常，却被这些包了一拉平拉马一人，温州送了不出些王给先年到了清给拉多说，一大马古人让他们的拉他们的太阳米。三业去的，都给江南啦，全球百度大你讲。 Dagi chunyi kibe sonanki, chola pecher sangye drubar sho. Sangye chudan, soge chonam la, chanjo bardo tani gyosu ji. Dagi chunyi kibe sonanki, chola pecher sangye drubar sho. Sangye chudan, soge chonam la, chanjo bardo tani gyosu ji. Venture Sangye Drupara Show.
Battery, Lobsang Chigimas, W Chigimas, ici, l'ensemble de son bas,
Today's topic, the topic for today's Dharma teaching is the 8 verses of mind training, which were composed by the Kadampa, early Kadampa master Laritamba, Geshe Laritamba.
Kung gari dong beresin, tahan isimje tangje la, ishi no hu la be kungu, lambai, taati je panchen kashlo, taa siti, ishi lambai tangbo kurani, semje tangje la, ishi no hu la be, ten cho di, sanji juko mante, di kuwe, sambai, di, and you somebody Datu Jeban Zebashu, then Jet Tamjeda, do that. City Uloti, in charge, King Meshaban Zebashu, the Yatamena.
So the first verse is a prayer to regard all sentient beings. It says, may I always then value all sentient beings, always value. Then means continually. Then how should I, what is the attitude that the author himself is expressing? And we as practitioners can apply to ourselves that we should regard all sentient beings as more valuable than a wish-granting jewel. So one aspect of the attitude is that. The other attitude is that on their behalf, then you are pursuing, striving to achieve the highest goal.
Tatine Senje Tamje, the issue noble Labas, issue nobody Seti 香港龙觉得说的都是他可以形容是要这个这样的有的去有个这样就没去这个树叶吧，我地上那你到底那样三级就过完的。一些诺贝尔奖的确定的去成为这个用户的明星，三级就过完，全球三级就过完的一些诺贝尔奖的，普通样嘛吧，第一生，他甚至tham gia了每个奖把他这玩意儿都在那点，那你全球三级就过完的。你做土业上，你打住，你实践了，基本这么的这个上面的人都实践了命令，人都的上不的，上不的，没实践他们进了，基本经济落地，这个说他觉得这些对马些人这个说现在。
So, the way to think about the words of this verse are many points to make. One is that it uses the symbol or object of a wish-granting jewel. In Indian culture, Tibetan culture, a wish-granting jewel is an object that, if then prepared properly and then worshipped in a sense, can provide, then endless amounts of material things, right? Your food, your clothing, wealth, and so on. Mainly, it's viewed that way. But that is not the highest goal, right? The highest goal that we can and should seek is, such as Dön Chok means the supreme goal, is Buddhahood. And so for pursuing that goal, sentient beings are the purpose for seeking that goal, that we view them with loving kindness and compassion, and that motivates us to seek the highest goal on their behalf. And moreover, as we pursue that goal, then they are also very precious. I even can say like a wishing jewel, in that they enable us to successfully seek that goal. They are the objects that we must bear in mind. So the concluding part of the verse says two things. One is that you should also always have this attitude towards sentient beings. And so the attitude here in the verses is jeva, means we have to cherish them as precious. And so, and also in Tibetan, the word jeva, to cherish, can easily be applied to the lojong, what should I say, attitudes. So there's Jenzin. Jenzin means viewing with a sense of value. So Rang Jenzin is to be selfish. Shen Jenzin is to be concerned about others, to cherish others. So here when it says should cherish them, it means we should always have this altruistic attitude of seeking that highest goal on their behalf.
我等一下，那就上一就过完写的就个的上一节都做的这样的话，都看你的些时间然后的上一就过完你的主要的然后这边吧，上一就过完的过完的特别还是。生界里面的讲把的年纪，第 공부할 때니 아니 이해하라 생전에 참받는 지고 전에 때니 니 자주 생각이 부부여라 아니 생전에 참받는 지면은 자주 생명선 매버가 지면은 산지 주고가 비야비로와 뒤에 최선매비 뒤에서는 그런지 생제를 가해서 이시 노블레 사배 산지 주고가 뒤 생제를 된 상관행위디 사서 그를 내니 자주게 생각지 생제를 이렇게 보여봐 어디에서는 이제 또 제반전 것이 생제라 생제 탐제라 이 시간 노래 사배 된 초산지 주고만 들어봐 이 생제를 밑에 장파 등인지 자와진 기리야 어디에서는 저도 다도 제반전 것이 생제 근데지니 생제 근데지니 뒤통화점지 산지 주고만 아니 산지 주고만 람저 산지 주고만 등등이 이야기 산지 주고만 용서의 시대 잠바들 인지를 때는 연구이요 잠바들 인지께서의 생제 탐지를 동에 됐잖아요 지말 대화다 되나 지말로 명같이 잠바들 인지 저어진 연구위에서 아니 먼저 그런 거를 이 시기 너무래 사배 전산기 주고만기 생전에 기고에 생근지는 잠바들 그럴 때는 전주의 생 기고에 뒤에서 생제라 다도 기본된 것이 생제 간디치 통에 아니 산지죠 고바 아직 고반 불지기 장바트 저어티 생제 때니 주위에서 생제 간디치 통성이 산지주 고반 불지기 아니 더 어렵지야 산제들이 고반 불지 생제에 장바트 지니 덜 찾나 산지주 고반 불지기 당연히 라로르와 지선은 가는데 인도 그게 제스디 생제가 생제들이 그게 제스디 생제에 사이 고만 그렇지 네 가르쳐 그래 특히에 생제를 때 장바도 이미지 생제를 때 명예 장바도 이미지 공 뒤자와 친기 change 생제 부위에 장바도 이미지면은 change 생명을 내버려 또 장바도 이미지 뒤에서디 생제를 때 부위에 이에서는 생제 뒤에 생제 거시를 맺기로 제스들이지 제네틱이 매버봐 현재 탐지를 미래 장바등이지 직접 구해봐 들려요 아니 생제 탐지를 동네에서 텐두다 여가다 텐두로 지키고 그래봐 어쨌든 먼저 생제는 일이 차다 맞아야지 생제 컨디션에 그런게 가르치고 해서 교환의 주인이 엔서티의 생제를 뒤로 교환에 대화 통야지 심정민이 아니 장바들 미지 핑계와 어디에 쓰는 건지 산지 주고가 전도니와 인선 이 현재 산지 주고한테 20노를 좀 초산지 주고한테 주례 선거티 다디 다도 현재 탐제를 다도 제거시는 우리 현재 디기비 중에 저 통문에 현재 현재의 투자가 가르쳐야 가르쳐야 현재 여도는 상기 계획特性맺 현재 가르쳐
심지 굳이 마도
현재 굳이 마도 상기 계획特性맺 만남도 상기 계획 특성이야 야나 상기 군대들이 처박혀야 만남도 지려봐 디 집이 유사 상기 계약이 특별한 지야 지려봐 디 대대 상기 계획 특성이 현재每个讲到的你就功夫的第一个三级级别特性的是现在估计马多和三级级别特性三级级别特性小人啊现在每个讲到的年纪的两年上路当苦也是现在估计马多和三级级别特性的是三级的马是呀东南级的现在都是了最大的世界学了吧第二性我两句东南级的现在都是了没被想到的年纪的大的广告也是第二个呢三级的C点吧三级的我两句上路刚刚听的是吧三级的特性的开出来现在过就不是现在估计马上三级的特性也是的嘛我在现在过去了的三级的也是现在哪盆就恰当青年恰当些几人那个企业单位呢三级的特性我们就看现在哪盆就现在跟着集团呢这个三级的结婚男士三级的早晚男士第现在我的印象现在跟的这种我的起码东南的起码上个日期其余呢三级建议那么这个些南皮一些家长期待个人三级这个特别样的吧我第一是两人是记了这个记可以的当然就本着当多这个记的经过吧像南皮就没南皮恰当记写的用力是吧我第一是然后就是恰当那些吧记规划记这个记的这个呢三级的听别吧然后就三级马听的你要么吧第一是呢三级这个头这个是甚至过去的甚至过了 제 이미시지 상기집에 탈신 선제를 지기치는 내지제 상기집에 탈신 말과 어디 상기집에 탈시 제고ችን 나옵신지 지기치 대화지야디 계친데 제사 상기집에 탈시 제고ችን 말한도 나옵신지 지기치 대화지 차당 맞을지 지기지 그거지 세계 탐지기, 상계 탐지기, 저것이 세티 말한주 강도네. 상계 탐지기 저것이 세티 말한주 이제 어디에서는 상계 탐지기 저 나세티를 말한주 상대팀이 조금 제우야가 어디에서는 이게 친구래.
So, this opening verse is addressing the most important element of the process of seeking the highest goal ourselves. So, saying there's no higher goal than Buddhahood itself. Here it says it's more valuable than wishing jewels, is referring also to Buddhahood. So that supreme goal, something that we think of as what we seek to achieve, Buddhahood, the same status that Buddhas possess. But the thing to always bear in mind, right? It says taktu means always hold in your mind, is that the means of pursuing that goal, the essential root cause that allows us to perceive that goal, to pursue that goal effectively, is by how we direct what kind of attitude we have towards all sentient beings. Without loving kindness, without compassion towards sentient beings, we cannot generate the true attitude, the proper attitude for seeking enlightenment. That aspiration to seek enlightenment should include the fact that our purpose for seeking Buddhahood is in order to benefit all sentient beings. So, that's crucial. We think of the supreme spiritual beings as, the objects that we need to worship, and that our own interest, our own attention is mainly focused on them. But sentient beings are just as important. So if we want to please the Buddhas, for instance, through our own actions, then the only way to do that, or the best way to do that, is for us to satisfy sentient beings, to do what we can to please sentient beings by our own actions, meaning acting on their behalf. The idea that we can pursue Buddhahood and at the same time, treat other sentient beings with, animosity and anger and strife is, impossible. So, in order to pursue Buddhahood with the right attitude, you must have loving kindness and compassion. And loving kindness is the attitude, the kind of loving kindness that we need to have as part of the basis for our desire to seek supreme enlightenment, is a loving kindness and a compassion that is limitless, immeasurable, and infinite, encompassing all sentient beings without exception. We can't say that we will seek to help those sentient beings we like and the ones that we don't like, we can forget about them or ignore them. That's not possible. That's showing our own wrong way of thinking. Again, in pursuing that ultimate goal, that supreme goal, Don Chok, which is more valuable than wishing jewel, we have to cherish others. Jewa means we have to view them with care and concern. More care and concern for them even than for ourselves, placing them first. And we have to keep that attitude at all times. So it starts out that reminding and instructing, and then making us try to remain aware of the fact that all sentient beings should be the focus of our attention when we are pursuing our own development, our own spiritual development that is meant to culminate in the attainment of supreme enlightenment. So if we seek that goal, the means, the method, what makes it possible to do so properly, effectively, is being motivated by the desire to pay to do whatever we can for sentient beings. So when the Buddhas sought enlightenment, that was the attitude that they took. And once they become enlightened, there's no other concern that they have except what can help other beings, help beings. It's their sole motivation. So we have to do our best to recognize that that's the true purpose for seeking enlightenment, and that we should also try to maintain the wish to benefit beings, whether it's in a near-term way by our activities as a way of developing ourselves, or whether it is just keeping in mind the fact that the reason and purpose for seeking that ultimate goal is for the sake of others.
Daddy,就是简不是写，
Rinpoche also gave example, which I think in America is probably very appropriate. I forgot to mention it, which is to say that every pets are a big part of people's lives. And I say, we love our pets. If we love our pets, that we mistreat our fellow human beings, then that is like ridiculous. So that.
Jampa Kesati, Niji Kesa, Chanju Sen Kesa, Shidin Kunzu Yin San, Tinesi, Datu Jeban, Zing Kuyu, Datu Jeban, Zing Kuyu, Sangana, Yuan Jete, Datu Jeban, Je, Yishin Nobulela, Betonjo, Sanji Jukohan, Kudes, Somebody, Kugadimati, Senjan Mibati, Jampa the Niji, Chanju Sen, Zawajeni, Soberma, Nisani, Jampa的运气也是，圣洁常见的，到处基本这么说，到处的在你估计，可不到，你的经济很多的，你嘛去了，这么说是这么去了吧？
So the second verse kind of elaborates on how what's most important as a means of how to carry yourself in relation to others. So it says wherever you are and whomever you are, whomever you encounter, then it says you should assume a lower position. Meaning you should be humble. If all sentient beings are most important, then you have to regard yourself as someone who's working on, who's striving on their behalf. So you can't do that if you're proud. If you have a sense of pride, that will it's very close for you to think you're better than everybody else, and you don't have to consider other people. You're thinking mainly about yourself, and also easy for you to see faults in other people. So the bodhisattva, the person who is practicing lojong, the way in which they dedicate themselves at all times, as the first verse said, to cherish them is to view yourself as that they are they are the persons whom you are serving, right? You're dedicating yourself on their behalf, and then so in that sense, when you're practicing loving kindness and compassion, you're placing them in viewing them with a sense of importance. So it says, Shenla Samba Takpa means with deep sincerity from the depth of your heart, you're seeing them as supreme in this sense, higher than you, better than you, more important than you, and that you place yourself below them because it's on their behalf that you are seeking your own enlightenment.
这两个人就，修个也让你，上街就是，吃吧香，吃吧酒业吧，吃吧酒业，吃吧酒业，顶那些，第三季的话，刚那些也在台湾这边去的，吃吧酒业吧，顶那些，你，现在汤节。这几乎别看是三季古玩的，他为了想把等于去找钱，讲究个身体就不要。这意思呢，身体的这个分，想把等于去找钱，讲究个身体是没办法。我的意思呢，的节省呢，我的大的基本怎么说是。刚入书的特别是单一观的面对，现在上到这么学的就，然后读书的读的第一层呢，单一观的现在的，没大形式，现在，三级写的那些，或是三级课本特别讲究个什么解释，讲吧，定级解释的。早读书，印象把这个建议，现在从呢，跟着集团呢，强把在年纪的讲究个生，解释的工作印象不起来，你经济了，谁到国外，现在单一个人现在什么， 초도 제가 좀 하시듯이 이제 초도 전부된 지구에 가르쳤으네. 라니 돼야지 산지주 고만디 산지주 고만디 더불어 잠바도 인지 그걸 잠바도 인지 아니 계속이 분들이 생기는 아니 초도 제가 쓰는 중국이에 어디에 쓰는 거는지 저도 지금 진짜 쇼스가 뭐는 결이 뭐는 순지 자고 그랬지. 당연히 안에 때도 신을 붙이지. 신이 아니 저도 다르지. 그냥 아주 삼루단에 이제 탐제가장 마매제를 지경에 마제벌을 정리해주 마제링신 세대 만나신 단지도 두기를 강해서야 바디에선 현재 탐제 세대 마디들 저 그다음에 디지털이 강해서니 강해서 디지털 받으면 그거야 강해 받으면 세야 이제는 다도 제도 대마지당 지금 레게지 아니리 메뚜브 대지는 거봐 이내야 둘이 콘도 괜찮지 맞지지는 항상 상상간 마긴 생제 탐제 뭐는 저기가 디 한글로비 마긴 생제 탐제 여자 대리기 때문에 눈에도 눈이 그때는 아주 가르치는 게 뒤된다지 되어지 당연히 내가 미친 말을 지면이 상루단 아니 도수리 진 세메리 장이 그리겠어 강에 받으면 세야 세배에서는 아직 챙겨지려야 신지치 그냥 니도 쟤는 자신의 제레샤 상징 sembatingi concreti timbri tisan
So in this verse, it's referring to how we maintain that attitude in our everyday, activities and our work, however, whatever situations where we find ourselves interacting with others, that it's important that in order to keep that attitude, that we remind ourselves of the essential role that sentient beings play in our own spiritual pursuit. So saying the person who's seeking enlightenment is called a bodhisattva. The bodhisattva is a person who possesses bodhisattva means the person who's seeking enlightenment, and so the attitude of such a person is called the mind of enlightenment, or the attitude that's seeking enlightenment. That's the necessary aspiration and motivation that we need to develop. And the only way to do that is by relying on sentient beings, essentially. The only way that we can develop that attitude is by cultivating those practices. Main practices are loving kindness and compassion. That loving kindness and compassion is meant to be cultivated out of recognition of the endless benefits that we've received ourselves in all our limitless past lives, then using as an example parents of this life, for example. So everyone has the same basic driving force, which is they want to remove any difficulties and any difficulty, any kind of undesirable experience or circumstance, and so doing also doing whatever you can to achieve whatever you believe to be your true form of happiness. So in Buddhism, that highest form of happiness is for us to achieve Buddhahood itself, and the way in which we can overcome and abandon our own difficulties and seek and pursue our own highest happiness is through sentient beings. And the reason why we should recognize that and we should have that as our main purpose is out of recognition of the way in which in throughout all our own past lives, whatever well-being, whatever good circumstances we've achieved up to now, even though they are only temporary and even though they are not the ultimate goal, nevertheless, all of our own limited forms of well-being comes from others, not from ourselves. It's from sentient beings. Sentient beings are the ones who have made it possible for us to be well, to be at ease, to feel, to achieve some kind of comfort. So then, in order to repay that kindness, then our main that should be what is motivating us. That we want to repay that kindness by achieving Buddhahood for their sake, and in order to do that, then we have to always remember their importance, to cherish them, to view them as essential for us even to make progress towards our own spiritual development, but also ultimately because we have the duty, we have the obligation to achieve the ability to provide them with true happiness. And so we put them in a high position, view them as supreme, view them as most important, and cherish them.
也要可能自己治疗的苦给的研究嘛送苦给提着钱嘛送生命你后来地基中途了吧去40年不结束呢第2这年不第年来的去那边呢然后地基没的上级这边特别出面嘛的但是去然后你你前几年把它结束了让你这个去年嘛结了结连这上他们对这些人3级里7个里那些的快啊也后来对这些人的苦苦那就被年龄结嘛送前年的苦40里为些结他们对这种也吧年把年龄老病人苦年不结不的年不结不的然后这个年都快自己回来了是吧后来找自己现在年不今年的年不结不的找自己年龄的了年龄嘛结不结Jampa对你去工作呢你然后地基地中途嘛这控制这个呢然后地基也没了去现在地基这图嘛去这边呢升上不这边呢困升那个地需要的然后地基没有可能地基准备啊那3级讲身体谁的的基本上性质呢土工的主要集中的话升级估计嘛这个三级这个特性的3级这个特集中的然后机械是呢地下年龄嘛这个些与那个是不然后旁个17年不一样的3级这个特别出来的第年不的年龄这就为了机械年嘛叫的几个对呢然后基本没你3级的特性3级这个特别嘛是吧加上人说的3级这个特技术也是吧能注意的现在估计嘛这个心里去刚才提的这个这里刚才说的当控制这个让你接触呢第控制需要的特点呢控制需要的特点和控制结束呢控制需要特点第一讲到的在上不去给那人的高度呢苦控制需要的特别对不对3级特别主要加上那个就升级不见嘛这个3级这个特性的升级的那个结束呢3级这样特别的要是第一层更进没了这个哪里呀地基这你去那边你搞不懂了今年新鲜的地基这图呢你现在个月的搞民国的3级就业的多的电视呢升级不见嘛都是3级这个特性呢提早了10年就是上当过的
So before Rinpoche also had said, I wanted to add something that I missed or didn't add to what he said, was that we're trying to develop an attitude in which we do have concern for others, right? That's what the first verse, the second verse is talking about. So then, especially in the second verse, talking about interacting with others in your everyday, life, in your everyday just activities. So sometimes, you're going to have a situation where there's disagreement, or someone doesn't like what you're doing and they get angry with you, and then that might trigger in you some kind of feeling that to let's say defend yourself, and you might get a little upset. So if you get upset, that's completely contrary to what these verses are saying. We're supposed to always have this feeling of cherishing others. But if you speak in terms of practicality and the fact that we're not perfect, we might find that we get irritated ourselves once in a while. The important thing is to recognize that right away and to remind yourself that that's improper, and that that's contrary to what your real goals are, and then try to overcome it and try to put it to rest and get back into some kind of calm state, and then reassert or rekindle a more loving kind of basic motivation. So then this in this last description which Rinpoche was making, he uses several phrases. So kepsang means some kind of advantage. Pemba means some kind of benefit. So it was saying that treating others well, and regarding your purpose and your what should I say, your everyday awareness is one which you're trying to help others. Having that attitude brings advantage, brings benefit to you in a spiritual sense, in that it will serve the means by which you're pursuing your own spiritual development. So kind of that's one way to think of how to carry out how to fulfill that sense of being dedicated, having dedicated yourself to others. So that's one point he made, and then he said, having that altruistic or that attitude that wants to benefit others, a common way to describe it is samba sangbo. Sangbo means noble or good or kind or virtuous, but here it's mainly saying this idea of being feeling towards others that you wish to benefit them. And so it's one of the advantages and benefits that you will gain from cultivating that attitude towards others is, in the near term, that kind of attitude is one that is a state of ease. So feeling a sense of caring for others for you will bring you a sense of calm, a sense of comfort, and so that's a kind of happiness, that's a kind of benefit that comes from viewing others with a sense of genuine concern, and then so when you are interacting or when you come in contact with others, and the world being what it is, if someone is gets angry with you and berates you, or gives you a hard time, or even worse, tries to harm you, then if you have a strong reservoir of that sense of concern for others, ideally, you can you could keep it, despite the fact that you're being treated an aggressive and harmful, or uh, angry way by another person. One benefit of that is that keeping that loving kindness, keeping that sense of concern, can in fact serve to calm the other person down. If they see that you are staying in that state of mind, then it might they might think, why are they being so angry at you, seeing that you're, and then that can help to diffuse the situation, and so you can, keeping that attitude yourself brings you happiness, but also you can, in effect, just by maintaining it, you can help the other person to overcome that temporary set of agitation that they may have developed. So not doing that, right? If you react in kind, that you get upset because somebody's treating you badly, that's not benefiting you by doing that, and it's contrary to your main purpose. So then, going back to kind of the starting point, or the basic perspective, you get up in the morning, you think you're a spiritual person, your goal is to achieve Buddhahood, and you have your altar, and you go to the altar and you make offerings to the Buddhas, thinking that this is how you are expressing your spirituality. Then, as Rinpoche mentioned, I believe this verse from the Bodhicharya Avatar in the 6th chapter of Patience, saying that in view of the fact that the Buddhas themselves, who have already achieved the ultimate goal, their sole purpose, their sole outlook, their sole the sole activity that they have devoted themselves to is to benefit others. So if you seek to achieve that same goal for yourself, then you should bear that in mind. And so there's a line which says that pleasing others, pleasing sentient beings, has the effect of causing the Buddhas themselves to look upon you favorably, because that's their aim. And so pleasing others essentially means, looking at their circumstances, seeing what their needs are, and doing something to try to, fulfill what their needs are. So one way to think of it is, if somebody does something that's beneficial to you, that pleases you, right? You like to be helped and treated well. So the same is true for everyone else as well. So you're trying to benefit them. So you should, recognize and just keep in mind that by trying to help beings, even in the in temporary and incidental sort of way, you're living up to that ultimate aim that you have. And the Buddhas are omniscient; they will be aware of what you're doing. Doing something that the Buddhas look upon favorably accrues to you as well, brings benefit to you. You can say blessings from the Buddhas will flow from doing things which please them. So those are ways of reminding yourself of what your goal is, and how to pursue that goal, that without, without maintaining loving kindness and compassion to support your main motivation, and there's no way to actually make progress towards that ultimate goal effectively. So, think of it as pleasing the Buddhas by helping your fellow sentient beings. And that is kind of way to give yourself some extra incentive to act in that way that is expressing. And so the verse, all 8 of these verses in the modern form, they are in the form of a so-called munlam. Munlam means like an aspirational prayer. So, at the very least, you should have the aspirational prayer, but in practice, you should actually try to live up to what those verses are describing. Sumbadi, Jalam Kundu Rangila.
Jalam Kundu Sechi, Jalam Namshiri, Jalam Yawa, Java, Dupa, Chabas, Jalam di Jalam Shige,
No, so.
Yawa di Tinanga, Deva Tin, Chabat, Doa Sobatide, Jalam Kundus, Rambula. Sem Butito, Yabutito, the Taji Chen, Sem Yambarutin, Kitu, Dinamsa, Kunjolam, Daviata, Jampa taking Chikumiat in the chin, Shivachi, Jonam Kundu Angula Torchins. Yamata ne sem marun tikesun rale kane chiri shen marun beche raya marun che churi chesan yamata tashi marun chire na konduta tinde tabu jusun ni rale tiki merce shenle tiki merce chiva kondu tiku nenanti ani ni mota tu yindi ani iba Hapsi number 5 when it told that children is then the moment over shows yeah and the man senjike many men senjike it 어디 있으면 지금 이제 가르치고를 생명받기 유모받기 이제 남바로 지기 남바로 저런 맛에 심바로 맞지
그렇죠.
이 제가 인사한다 다시 나고 그런데 권이 젠틀 돈이 도바쇼 말은 겸벌과 어디 인생의 아람도 디데티 나시 말은 자국은 현재 자국이야 있을
This is now, I think, the third verse. Yes, third verse is addressing how to deal or how to be mindful in particular in your activities, right? So the first line of the verse is saying, in all my activities, in all my conduct. So in Buddhism, there is a stock sort of identification of conduct as being the 4 kinds of activities. Sitting, standing, lying down, or walking. But you can think of it that way, or you can think of it just in all your activities. And typically here, because it's talking about your own negative, thoughts. it will be something that typically will occur when you're in the presence of others or you're with others. So it says, in all of your activities, in all of those activities, it says you have to examine your mind. Examine your mind means you have to be aware of your mind. You have to be watching your mind. You have to be evaluating your mind, right? And so as you do that, then the thing that you're on the lookout for, especially, is if you generate mental afflictions. And then it says, so the focus of this verse is to not allow yourself, when you develop mental afflictions, to let them become stronger and act on them in the worst case. So the most effective way to do it is to recognize when a mental affliction even hasn't yet quite arisen, but is about to arise, or is in the process of arising. So skematak means as soon as it arises, then you have to turn it back. And so here the verse gives you the main reason or the justification or the necessity for turning it back is that it's harmful. Marun bacheva, it will, you can say, it will be harmful to you. You will, if you act on your mental afflictions, you can, cause harm to others, or you can provoke others to develop mental afflictions, and then you're not doing them any good by doing that, and you're certainly not doing yourself any good. So it just says it is, we can say inappropriate for both oneself, but I think it's stronger than that. I think that means that it makes both you and others, those whom you are interacting with, it has a harmful effect. So for that reason, Jebena means because it is ruinous, you can say even ruinous for you and others, then you have to turn them back. So it means the impulse and emotions, mental afflictions are emotions are feelings, and so you have to use your reasoning. In this case, the reasoning is, as a bodhisattva, that if you allow yourself to entertain those mental afflictions, you won't be doing yourself any good, or you won't be doing anyone else any good. So you need to, put a stop to it. So dokpa means turn them back. It means you have to. Usually they come up from inside, so you got to send them back where they came from, and do it forcefully. So and then head on. It says dongne dokpa means as if the mental affliction is coming towards you. You have to push back and make it, go away. This is a kind of mindfulness practice to maintain that state of altruism towards others. You can't allow the mental afflictions to, intrude.
Tabula, Jutogia, Tibelia, Rabugia, not only Jabuna, in the Tibetan, Tibelia, Jabutilipe, in the color, coming to have a tea, Senate, Tashima, and Tibetan cabinet, Rinji, the Chelsea. 이 크리티벨의 도치무티 시야리치도 다시 한번 그리지야 디버스 친구들 주도지도는 닉시에 야 동네 잡고 있는 데가 통화디 chen 린지 때 림버치 때디 아주你说那搞不起名字吧？永远是第八清楚经验，东面差不多，因为这些甚至都是同城，你也把搞的经济学，对不对？ 단둘을 돼야지 급급을 미실지기 다바지를 통해매봐
그렇죠.
어디 통해매으면 여기에 강의 드세야리 가르쳐를 치고
그렇죠.
아니 대바지니 강의 드세야지 공부를 재산을 용기를 rinpoche tere nye suna
그렇죠.
di arandu kabuchiri ba di rinpoche tere chimaranda digi chungya tamlan sambuchi chungi
그렇죠.
kuruka kamete se suna kule namgyu rashi ngenpa yensani ani senje shindagi chi kule kule tende chuko yesi nyerbachi 단도도 나이 야지금 말과 디데디 그 라신인 것인지디 신덕이 코리아 마치듯이 아니 콜라 지금 지니까 그간에들이 경례디 시다 공부 처리해봐 기차 제체 렌지 때다 제가 신경을 가리 진지 쇼스 렌지 비때리니에서는 랑 가부치레바 rinpoche te se tangwe te tende te nye sunu kapchi tine shi kule pendo chichiri ne ani shime digi junya bi te na shi chitepsi kulkange ti kule namju kange ti seya le tapsi chini mikangolo yawa to biyaba kulkange ti se tapsi ne 라자나 치마 디기 중에 때때 집에
수수수수라.
그걸 강에서도 제가 뒤에 랑 치마 디기 면으로 자친구 연구해봐 신제 탄 신제 신다 그런 거 고여와도 셔야 디도에서 꼭 다시 멤버에서 그래서 남주 밑에면 도스 뒤도 다른 넘버기 전에다 이야기야. 그래서 이 디지털 때의 책은 신도수 여왕만 그러지. 디크네스도 배우는 지우스티지. 렌지 때의 책은 신예바가 신디슈 때다지. 디디디 예바가에 그걸 예바가 어디쯤선지 Conhecia-te, Tani, Tamziceni, Nakanit Setuyaris, Vegetioris, Jeti, Kevenchimbiaris, Karekut, Shindakangu, Ganes, Kurashing Bayisani, Yo, Torchavirba, Kulat, Kanet, Sel, Tabjing, Meba, Didicil Kula, Kanetis, Sesson, Kurai Kaushi, Mampuchi, Kotu Yavato. 그걸 또 자기 코치지 야와도비 그런 이제의 인생은 아니 브라이드 디지 샘플 디지 챔버 때도 그 강에 대해서 도비야리 리지 강에 대해서 또 샘플 디지 챔버 때도 뭐 퀄리티 디에서는 안에 김에 친구인 거를 봐버지 예버가 제가 지니스
So the fourth verse is instruction about among sentient beings generally, as a particular group that we should be especially concerned about. So it says those persons, semjen, those persons who have a inferior nature. They're persons who are inclined to, do harmful behavior, or someone who's quick to be angry, then mentions in the verse, the second lines, that Ranjing Yambam is a person who is not a nice person, a bad person, whose personality is, kind of very negative. You can say, loosely. Then the second line also says a person who may be engaging in evil deeds, carrying out evil deeds. Then the person who carries out evil deeds, you know, from a spiritual point of view, they deserve compassion because they are creating conditions for their own suffering in the future. They're not experiencing it now, perhaps, but they're laying the foundation and creating the conditions that will ensure that they will suffer in the future. And that's what you don't want. You want to help beings to avoid their suffering. And then also, duk is short for dungel, means suffering. So those persons who are in great misfortune, those who are cannot help themselves or in very difficult straits, and says those kind of persons that are oppressed very severely by either their evil actions or by their unfortunate circumstances. So it says those persons for Bodhisattva are the ones that we should be seeking to try to help in the near term as much as we can. So when we see people like that, the ordinary person, when they see people like that, they tend to run away. If it's an angry person, nobody wants to be around an angry person. If there are someone who's suffering greatly, you feel like it's not my problem, or that you turn your back on them, or there's nothing I can do about it, so you ignore them. Essentially, many people tend to do that. You hear about all the troubles in the world, and it's kind of trouble. It almost makes you don't want to hear about it because it's difficult to think about even. So, but Bodhisattva, it says, Rinjinter, there's like you should think of them as like finding a treasure. So finding a treasure is a common metaphor for what causes someone to feel great joy, right? Oh, if you happen suddenly to come across something of great value and you and you can claim it for yourself that doesn't belong to somebody else, then you feel like today's my lucky day. And so that's the way you should feel towards persons in samsara who are either experiencing suffering or creating the seeds of their own suffering. So it says then those kind of persons we should think of as first of all, not everybody is always in those kind of circumstances, so it's not that common. And so as a bodhisattva, we're looking for those kind of situations that will give us the opportunity to do the greatest good, and by doing the greatest good, we will, in a sense, benefit ourselves by furthering ourselves further along towards the ultimate goal. So in order to achieve our ultimate goal, the way to bring it about is by engaging in virtuous behavior, and what could be more virtuous than helping those who are suffering the most or who are doing themselves harm by engaging in wrongful behavior. So but saying that not only is that something that is most people turn away from, it means that we also not only have to look on that as something that we seek, we also have to figure out what is the way in which to actually alleviate that suffering. We have to have that kind of confidence, and we also should have that kind of skill. We don't insert ourselves in situations where we can't do them any good, but assuming we can, then that's a thing that we should not shy away from at all. So if we think of that is rare. That is as rare as finding a treasure, right? And so it is, and everybody said, no, in a sense, it is a treasure, because if we are able to be effective in kind of helping a person who is evil to overcome their evil, what could be better than that? To change a person's life that strongly is a huge virtue for yourself. So that doing that, being able to effectively accomplish that is as valuable as if you did find a treasure. So meaning that you will derive the virtue, the merit that will, move you along farther towards your ultimate goal. So in any way, it's saying not to shy away from those kinds of extraordinary situations where beings are either suffering or doing themselves harm.
Gyuasa Shabati, Gyuata, Gyuati, Gyuti Chabak, Mana, Hatone Tam, Tom, Shingi Tune, Tuni, Pifu Chabak, Yulin, Nutilisini, Mai Neta Tuneta, Stadona Muta Jubai, Pendeman, Kulpata, Mai Neta Tuneta, Sanitali Limbashu, Sanitali Limbashu, Tone Kumi, Dilicia, Deda Kunja Chujiki, Sovetime, Shumi Jumashi, Sheme Chon Ledu Shoes, Deda Kunja Dilicia, Chujiki, Jide Chujik, Masonche, Mavashi, Chugun Jumashi, Luz, then the Kanji, the Kuring Bachabati, Chetanjara Shibima, Tumatawi, some rounded Kupin never to picking many cover my Nando Pitapar, some chain, me, showing but into the town, showing Bachabati, to society, Kuchavachabati. Ranshi Fubach. Raman Chukushavan. Tobe Pata Zamlet, who never sells to somebody. Tobe Pata Zamrava, Pata Shabbat. Who Sambuche Shabbat, Tobe Pata Shabbat, Sambuche, and Jeta, Tilechia never. Never Jivalia, Condor, Subati, Chetiam, Shouldn't you matter what it is? Raman never is. Namto Kuneta Pasam Mishwski. Ramik Vamivaisa, Shugumashiva, Shemichon to sins. Shemi Tilishamba Meva, Crazy Meva, Chile, Yavuching Tilis, Chaba Meva. What did he Ramina Matver Chitan? Yeah. Yavuchevatili. To win to which the Quincy Jenner, Yard Neberva, Sambuti Chevatilia, Shenja Chitana, Yard and Sambuchevati, Sambuti, Chada, Deabi, Durachi, Song Viera, what the Imebash, Shamich one day to shoot, the Chutange. Dove Pata, Melamda, Jumashi, then Yamil Chovis, to Virginia 3 Congameba, Yabaji 3 Chabameba, Shinjameba, Shubi Jumashi, Shemi Chuma Letushi, Shaman to Shinja Jevina, Koala, Gravity, Tirba. Ni Tinsani Teletini Chuma Teletua shows. Shenja Titako Kuala Chimachini Shenja Terba Mobdike Maraba Mobdilish Tili Ku Nesoni Tiyamaba. Manando Nesuli Tienti Mobile Chabata Shinchache Nientilia Shinchache Tadilla Mache Nani Diongi Qual Kuyeva Tati no Katijeni Kula Congo Megache Jovina could quality Mama. Piggy never chieti, never chivate, Congo Janet, Congo Tigungen, and Nesuna Turiava. The Yahu Chignetile Shenja Jen Shenja Digi quality, for example, Java Digu quality. 体验不着。上不就会这个现象界呢，你可以已经不是主义，我这一生，去为天呢，都等于先没清楚了，先把那个，要不就真的先把那个去，这样，要不就真的先把那个去，先没清，先没清完这个需要时间地铁，
So that explanation applied to all four remaining verses. So we'll go through them one by one. So the fifth verse is addressing when you're mistreated, right? So saying that in your everyday life, people look at you a certain way. They might think they look at you, maybe you're well off or you're enjoying, good treatment from other people, and then people will, be moved to feel jealous of you, right? Jealousy usually comes from people disliking your, success, for instance. And then, so as a result of that, they can, feel like they move to kind of bring you down by either, arguing with you or, directly, scolding you or speaking harshly towards you, or shewa means it's scolding. Gurwa means then kind of discrediting you. That can be behind your back, for instance. And then, so this is, from a general point of view, it's unwarranted, right? You haven't done anything to be mistreated like that. So that's a kind of, so it says then that's a kind of a loss, or what word gonka means, in some kind of misfortune. Then misfortune should you should not react to that kind of mistreatment in such a way that you're bothered by it, right? So gyonga rangilemba means that whatever misfortune, whatever loss you may experience in that kind of situation, basic rangilemba means you should accept it without being without being concerned, without being upset, without letting it bother you, or react to saying, "Oh, this is it's unfair in some way." Then the same way, whenever you have some gerha, means whenever you have some kind of good fortune, some kind of gain, then you shouldn't think of that as something that is you're going to use for your own satisfaction or ease. You should think whenever you have some good fortune, well, how can I use this good fortune to the benefit of others? Means you whatever good befalls you, you want it to accrue to others. Whatever bad circumstance you experience, you don't let it upset you, or you don't let it cause you to feel that somehow this is unfair. So that's one verse. And the next verse is kind of similar. It's saying that, but a little bit the perspective is that sometimes when we're pursuing some activity or something that is our near-term goal or purpose, and we look to others, and we're hoping that some other person will help us or facilitate things for us, right? So and you think to yourself, I helped that person at some time in the past, So if I go to that person and, ask them to kind of, help me out now at this time, and they don't do that. They do the opposite. They kind of shun you or tell you to get lost. Then it says, even if they do kind of reject you. So this is kind of the thing about, that sometimes we feel that we want, other people to sort of make things easier for us. So this is looking for that, some kind of help you out, kind of. You shouldn't allow yourself to rely on that or feel that that's necessary. So to be as much self-reliant as you can, saying that when you find yourself hoping that someone else might help you and they do the opposite, then you should use that as a way of saying, oh, that person is like a teacher. They're showing me that I shouldn't try to, I shouldn't take it for granted to think that those persons that I've helped in the past are, going to feel automatically that somehow they owe me and they're going to help me now. And if they don't, then, I shouldn't let it bother me at all. That, they're helping me to recognize that, ultimately we have to figure out what is the way to achieve our goals through our own, resources as much as possible, or at least we have to make sure that the person that we might reach out to we're sure they're going to help us and not be upset if they don't. So that's a Xinyan Dao Shou means that whenever we experience that kind of adversity, it should remind us that we shouldn't take it for granted, or we shouldn't assume that it's going to come to us, or feel somehow that we deserve to be helped and the person didn't, and then we sort of resent it, right? So we don't want to feel that sense of resentment when people don't do what we think they owe us, right? That's the main point in that verse. Then this seventh verse is saying, it says, in short, which saying that, so in short means it's kind of summarizing what has come before. And it's saying that whether directly or indirectly, right? Then it's saying whatever benefit, whatever well-being, whatever means of providing well-being we possess, that we can, apply to others, or we can use to benefit others. It says without then in its entirety. Malu means all of it. We should not feel any sort of holding back for our own enjoyment or our own good fortune and resources might be. Though we should feel everything that we have should be a means for benefiting others, directly or then indirectly. So indirectly is practicing the unique Lojong practice of giving and taking, which is a mental practice, right? Where you visualize yourself creating happiness for others mentally by providing them either whatever they need on the basis of yourself, or on the basis of your virtue, or on the basis of your possessions. So all three of those can be the focus of your meditation practice for giving, the one element of giving and taking. And then so the other part is Mai Nödan Dungekun means whatever harm other persons may extend towards you, or whatever suffering they may be, enduring or undergoing, then so harm then can mean, whatever bad deeds that they are carrying out, and that's something that you want to help them to, get over and to eliminate for themselves. And so also whatever suffering they may be experiencing, you want to alleviate. Then there's a way of practicing compassion. And so you visualize that you can literally take it away from them. You can, free them of it, but mentally by drawing it and experiencing yourself, developing the attitude of saying, instead of them having to undergo whatever they're undergoing, I will do it on their behalf, and dissolve it into yourself, essentially as a way to overcome any tendency for self-cherishing that you might have. So you dissolve it into that. So that this verse is saying either actually benefiting others and freeing them of their suffering, or practicing giving and taking, which is something it says secretly, meaning that you do it internally, mentally, and without and it's not something that can be observed by anyone else. It's something, just a form of meditation practice internally. So making the prayer to do that, and then to the extent that you learn the instruction, then also try to put it into practice. So that's the 7th verse. The last verse then is then addressing view, essentially, right view. So it's saying that if you practice these first 7 verses, you're going to acquire some virtue, right? Which is what we all are trying to do. As a bodhisattva, we're doing it not just for ourselves, we're doing it for others. So then it's saying that whatever good things we do accomplish, then we shouldn't allow ourselves to be affected by 2 kinds of improper, attitudes or views. One is the 8 worldly deeds, right? So, we shouldn't, be motivated to help others in such a way that we do it for the purpose of gaining some things for ourselves, or to receive the acclaim of other beings. Oh, look what a wonderful person that is. You do it to, enhance your reputation. That there's none of that should taint, right? So Gyumed Mabak means your virtuous activities should not be tainted or stained by the 8 worldly concerns. And then in the highest way, it says then you should develop the right view of emptiness, which is that perceives that everything you and the world and everything that you experience is all a dreamlike object. Nothing exists in and of itself. And so if you do that, then that will be a way for you to overcome any attachment that you might have. So all the mental afflictions come essentially from the belief that things are self-existent. And so, for example, then that if you have that belief in self-existence, that the attachment that you have towards the real nature of things will then cause you to react negatively towards things that provoke anger, or develop a sense of pride or desire for the favorable experiences that you undergo. And then those reactions, those mental afflictions, are going to be the things that bind you into samsara. You want to be practicing in samsara, but not doing so in a way that is deepening the seeds that keep you bound into samsara. So then one way to look at it is, it's not the things that you see, it's not the objects that lead you into samsara. It's the way you react to them. So when a person provokes anger in you, that person who made you angry, who is not self-existent, who is somebody who exists only as a nominal ascription from your own mind, then if you don't develop that proper awareness of their true nature, then you might react with a sense of being affronted by this inappropriate behavior. And then that anger or that resentment, that is going to be the bond, right? Qingwa means the things the chains or the shackles that keep you bound to samsara. By the same token, when you experience good fortune, whatever good fortune befalls you, the good fortune doesn't keep you in samsara. It's the way the attachment or the desire that you might develop in reaction to that good fortune. So it's those attitudes, and all of them essentially come from the mistaken notion that things have some kind of self-existent nature. So it's saying, all your behavior, says dedakun, means all of this that's been described. You should avoid having it be tainted by the 8 worldly dharmas, and you should view everything with the ultimate right view that sees everything as illusory or dreamlike. And so doing, free yourself from the shackles by remaining free of that kind of attachment. So it's a little time that we have left. Rinpoche is happy to take some questions.
Thank you. I guess one thing that really stuck with me is, how do we change people that are plagued with afflictions? Because more often than not, I'm taught to just like observe and not change them. So then how do we go about changing them?
TikTok 작고 통통세 TikTok 작고 통통세 미 딕바치 못된 제게 코 녀모시라 요행기 미데 아니 가란소 게 코란소 녀몽데 간제 시삽 간제 제거레스 세나 뭐게 세알이 남겨이나 아니 파마이나 그냥 랍자자겐데서 와 미디 컨트롤 인산데 코란 잘은 들어와서 깁쇼레스에 소리 아니 가르사 surdusi koran ya matuk basi koran sha na ya gere sen sorusi ta tanda di jangchisa me na koran mi mos chi jache ne koran gi nyomon dan koran gi ta karsa shiga nyama di ma shia ge ani tab kanjas che gres gore
tete tab che di brand that tabia de kunala ji ngosu rangi lapja di janna kato ya di kuran inde ngosu di janna jia di mena kuran ngosu di de pa lami chi ya lapsi tinde chanye chaya yari tinde manzo kange te sere tinde shendala kange te sere tamu tinde yari steme lavna ya kunanzo tinde dava yuna tinde rangi kange te sere yari 탑시 지위를 봐, 들어왔지 지위를 봐. 어디 지위는 지금 구랑기 강의지 세 가지는지 알랍자디 최대 tum발 지장이 주는 그 가지는 능력 강의지 세 지 그들의 세 맞는 대상단이 아니야지 강내세야 되야 봐. 이해서네. 강내세야 더디.
맞습니다.
뒤에 강내세야 이렇게 하는데 제제는 당기 강내 가리네 제탄은 스테이 탐나디 한데칸데 야리 스테이체 제제는 그 탐나디 태아들이 지하에 있는 밀리 땡국이네 저 그냥 배전하는 땅에 띵지 국이네 그 지하에봐 이제는 장비감이 세 그걸 세는 라는 재미에 어디야
So it's largely a matter of when you, of course, you have to approach such a person, right? And when you do so, it requires you to, be skillful and find a method that will be effective. So that requires you. It assumes that you are able to, understand the person that has, anger or is acting in an improper way, which is harmful to themselves. And then, there's several ways that you can deal with it. Sometimes that person's anger comes from the fact that he or she is experiencing some kind of difficulty, right? And so one way that you can help them is you can help them to sort of overcome whatever it is that makes them behave in that way. And I'm just as an example, right? As one example. So that anybody who is experiencing difficulties, if they recognize that you're, doing something that is, helpful to them, that will be one way that will sort of, overcome whatever it is that is creating the problem. The other side is, to be giving advice. Of course, advice means that the person is willing to take the advice, right? So they have to trust you. You wouldn't want to just go and be, telling them what to do. Nobody really likes to be told what to do from a point of view of, sort of, what's it? Kind of talking down to them or something like that. But if they recognize that you really want to help them and they believe that what you're going to say to them, that what you say makes sense, or you can tell them, that this is taught in a certain text, for example, that this is the way that this thing is, and what you're doing is really harming you. And if you can reason with them that way, but that's a kind of person to person sort of subtlety of how to interact with people is key, right? I mean, you can't just go up to the person and think it will. Even if you're right, often that doesn't always work. But assuming that you can approach the person and they're kind of open to what you have to say, that's kind of the key to sort of help them. But there are many ways. I mean, that's what the Bodhisattva is all about: is developing the skill to figure out how to do that kind of thing.
Thank you.
So being aware that the person has been belligerent to us, that's not a very independent nature. Okay? How does that affect us? What does that do for us?
Ani mitsu kogos again sorji rania ani karsa novak again sorji yina ani that koran kan novak again yina right no again koran novak di koran ranshingi drupa mare koran novak di ranshingi drupa mare ngarang yang ranshingi drupa mare ani kon novak di la ani kanas pengre asi just on tawagi tonchi Netu dendachi sangatana the karsa pemba yor kanjas penge yores then get that this karsa tikje shuma di la karsa milan ka
죽은 규마시마.
ah
죽은 규마시마.
chugun gumershe la shemechimula just says this labja di do te yine ta karsa ngosu sorchi de dege ta di kene ani 다디 매네 컨트롤제바이나 아니 단 가서 동해디 싸구게 다 마제란치 동해 다음에와게 지 동해디 냥구게 다래 다디 양다바치 연아양 거 너지 깨기나 아니 개여르면서 팽겨르면서 누가 양 싸구게 그랬어요.
네. 다음에 never 제스는 랑기 콘그레스에 그 나르키에서 동네티니 콘그레스를 봐. 다디 진심은 맞이야기 치듯이 콘그레스에 디 동네지야디 생제 탐제랑 마마제비 지경이 마마제비 진생이 비kem 시하다 체디 마디 让听讲的是那些讲也的医生그 말하는 팬도십 제도가 상대적인
그래.
인물과
그래.
미지기 나를 세til 팬도집이
그래.
질 강의 지대야 콘도사야 인물과 걸
그래.
뒤에 그 나를 팬도도 시야 제인이야
그래.
그런 콘도지 시야야 봐
그래.
그까지 실리네 이제 까지 친구들의 뒤에 농지 소리쳐 콘도지거든 콘도지는 다양합니다 디버서기도 아니 콘도산이 그 뒤에 뒤에서는 지다에 뒤에 제금이도 네 랑 심에게 받치면 동네기 남자들이셔 뒤에서는 나랑이 그 콘도지도 가래서 그 딩세는데 기장이 양이 딩지 말을 치르셔서 인생의 대중의 농지진 딩지진 말이 있어 이 콘도지는 라를 기ven해야 됐어 랑치면 내도 듣기야 그치세야 됐어 이게 걸어봐 잠바 딩인지 고나 랑의 생기시 아니 치매야라 요 상부지께서 예서도 상세나 네 약혼도 시야야라 딘진 소스
So, first of all, the earlier part of the verses were kind of focused mainly on the sense of the relationship with all sentient beings is one where you should consider them as objects, beings, but objects in the sense that you want to help them. Right. So most of it's all about that. So when some person is dealing with you in a hostile way, right? So you can use those points about from your side that you view those persons as, regardless of how they treat you, as beings that you want to help. So you have the example, for instance, of a person in a medical situation, right, where someone is really out of control and maybe trying to hurt people, and the people who are treating them, they know what this isn't. The person can't help themselves, so you don't get angry with them. You're trying to help them. So one way is like that. So the altruism can help you to overcome any sense of responding in kind. That's one point, and Rinpoche made several points about it, saying that getting angry or reacting in kind doesn't not going to make things better, right? And in fact, you're doing something that is that you can control, but it's harming you. And also the notion of right view. The most powerful effect of having right view is that you become detached. It's not real. So if it's not self-existent, if it's not real, then there's no reason for you to react with some kind of emotion, especially some kind of animosity from your side at all. You can, by relying on that sense of proper understanding of ultimate nature, it's like just watching a show. It's not real.
But there's also that conventional side. So there's the ultimate reality and
I know.
conventional side.
Yeah. But saying that, I think not to cut you short, but the harm that someone might cause you is the proper reaction to that is not to not to let it affect you negatively. Okay, so Look,
Correct.
there's one lady who wanted to ask a question.
Wait, hold on.
We're in a situation where all the efforts to de-escalate the situation with the person going to hospital escalates in spite of your understanding and calmness. And what are the views about self-defense and defending others in those situations?
Oh, yeah. Tene karasa min no ba kye khen yorwa mi shin tu ngam ba den de ge Koran katse chi chia ge tab chi chena yang ane Koran ge di manye ma che Koran kontrol dan do ru so chi daya den de gi me kap de la ane so ge tab chen me ba ina ane so ta Koran no ge ge yo na yang de ba 인지 민지 코랑기 너바 강껴와디 다디 사고를 베스 야 소소소소 겹 tum나 겹 마너야게 소지 코랑라 파 너렘 마치아바 이난 랑기 둥아야디 또지 수벌은 너야 소리지 디 아니 코랑 제마 투바 소리지 디양 아니 랑기 칠라 여기 미션다 데라 코랑 파 너베게게요나 아니 소소소소기 겐레 소리지 양 밑에 저기 짜여기 있던 코까야기 탑든데 제 워버는데 용거를 배세요. 세상 코까야기 데데치 양 믹세기 다 가르사 내가 다 아니 저단 툼바기 민너킹 툰너킹 딜 파까야기 제 워버는데 용거를 배세요. 저는
이까야디 잠바딩이지 그냥 들어봐 무슨 말 잠바디 그
또 뭐게디 거디 팽기 매나양 코까 투구 매나
내가 투면에랑 잠바딩이지 생이 공부를 봐
맞아
잠바딩이지 그 공부해서는 그 문화랑 이 랭 바사르기 다티 티리지 지레바
없어
시 네버지야디 이제는 그 랭 바사르티
그래
다야당 딘디리 삼로당 잠바딩이지 공
그래
아니 그 강에 때다 저거 주지 몇만 딘디다 제수는
그래
아니 랑기 눈에
그래
데리아스 사년 제버미 슈네 제야마바 아니 랑기 랑기 소사티 소사티 자친구로바
그래서
어디 있으니 랑기 소사티 제지야지 제친구이 있으니 never chini chini ti na never chiati na mo be shon di tune never cheva yasan sabat ne inje jampa tin ji ku ani ko no spa jampa tin ji ko ne le tim ne rangi
그래
kom di sia dan 어디 용도시 양도 마소하장 공부기지 담보를 지켜위네 근데 삼부지 단 건두시야 아니랑기 그 그래서 그래 랑기 상단에 나 저가 핀제도 랑기 신을 봐야 이게 사버를 사니지 le tatinde yung isang kache kanisubare ngeti tanto rambasne
그래서
dibati taso kanya tigi ngalne kanya sini mambula shaba dibati taso sambar chewurba di jao jene rangla ngal mambo saba yesan tusu dayagi Lubiya, the Dians and Cook Gair of the Chen, Kunge, not laying the lane of these Taji Gumara Chesson, and somebody needs to come. What did the Chen round Pendoship to Mudaba? Could the Chinim and around the somebody needs to come yati much more about.
So this answer is coming not what you were asking for, but the answer to what your question was is within the context of this teaching, right? The main thing is not about what's going on externally. It's not about what the other person does. It's about you. It's about in your own heart. And so starting out with ideally, if you are following the Mahayana path, you're meant to be at all times cultivating a sense of loving kindness and compassion towards others, come what may. And so if you stay there, the importance or the kind of the message that's being given is even when this kind of adversity is being thrown at you, don't lose that. That's the most important thing that you can do. So it's saying, even if you can't do anything to put a stop to whatever harm this person is perpetrating, the thing that you can do is you can put a stop to your own impulses to react in kind. That's kind of the main message that's here. Sometimes, if you maintain that loving kindness and you maintain that compassion in the face of it, you have to trust it, you have to believe it. It can have the effect of creating so the other person can see your nature and noticing that it can affect them. So that's as far as Rinpoche was willing to go to address your question. And then he said further about it that there are many ways to think about when harm is being perpetrated against you. So one that he did mention in response to you is that when someone is trying to do something to harm you, that from the Buddhist point of view, that the ultimate cause of that, right, is your own karma. So at some point in the past, you did something harmful to another person, which created the conditions, which in this case now is ripening in such a way that you're getting, the karmic payback, if you like. And so, that alone is one way to say that, it's a reason to feel to not want to respond in a similarly aggressive way. But that's kind of natural impulse. The other one is that to think that we have karma, we have bad karma, and when we reap that bad karma, it ends. The karma will be kind of exhausted. And so you can take some comfort in the sense that this misfortune that you are undergoing is in fact, an opportunity. That's not easy to, believe that in a genuine way. But if you believe in the doctrine of karma, you can say, well, I'm getting harmed now. That it puts an end to this karma. So that means I won't have to suffer something else, perhaps worse, at some time in the future. It won't cause me to be reborn in an unfavorable future life, for example. But the main point is that everything that he said is from the point of view of keeping that sense of altruism towards everyone at all times, not just when everyone is happy, but also when there are difficulties going on.
Time to chat for one quick question.
There's a couple other people too.
Here you go. Last question.
Venerable, what's the best way to awaken someone from their sleepwalking actions once they realize they're doing you harm?
Yeah. I think that was kind of a corollary to what the first question was. But
actually wasn't what happened to it, realized they didn't harm.
Yeah.
The things
Yeah.
out of being robotic in their
Yeah.
emotions and thoughts.
だからthe young me jawang yaman de sora chi ge Koran saman na nga mil no ki ge yo ko jingi o mai yine ko jawang yaman yin za an ko ta kar sa ra me o sora chi de Koran shi sora chi ra ta cha jang Koran de ne mi de la Koran chi ta sa ngwa su chi ge ta keran di ran shi di da yo ra min do ga su keran de che go ya me ba sora chi Koran ge chi ran shi di so so ha go ya sora chi kan je ye chu Koran ge 점 먹어야 그 지게 여어디 아니 코란디 까야게 간저스 코란 못저지에서 간저스 제국에 그랬어요.
Dati kanya mi damanda mambo mi yaris mi
매매 파 코란을 파 까야게 탑디.
Quran mi damanda shini yari ni shini yari kinsa ni mi labia kanga susu same che markaresin kinane mile phodu mendo yata ral phenya bi mile phodu mendo yata ral shen khundus masayata ani shen le kame se chi tine inati chi tane cheni nyani chawre mi gashiri kama gachani chi damandala mi yari mi kenju chingi yari tusukanga susu mi matuna susu ni yon matun tim matuna mi nene hondu sajue mar mashi mi arandu mi
그래서 디스월 하중 거 두자지게 지어라. 두자지게도 그런 두자지게 요바데 간데서 하고 줘라.
아니 그럼 두제 지기 요바디 가이 노래 디 이처나 두자지기 요바디 민데 삼부당 딩게네 밀리야드 금이야다 제네 지다고래 근데 지기도 디다니 디제고리 미슈지 민member mambuya member mambu yesan to sugi jiya to su rangi chena luti duris ran pangwiris kashiri member to sugi member jiya di sambura chikene michi member chimetu kabuje Meiji logo chimburis kopo de singer koji jere singer cheni ani DJ sudane imbasam ne kule biat ne chena dana jonga yana rami jonga isne rang samutani chedanti me sambutu suta chedar tungito ta di tundu rangi vegetana sinche imagine rangi di crecia di jesu duya mari karesen kula ngaji nganti jijan yungmindo sen lamne digere ba kuluji luti jene indici jasan 자원 멤버진이 주야 다시 지르는 이런 거 거니 디지뷰에 말하는 게 자와상부 미주 체스는 뭐야 이는 시체니 지지적으로 걸어 다자부터 시행 아니 그 자원 멤버들의
So there are two points. The first point was that if you want to approach the person, of course, the verses here are saying you should do. But the point is, if you can, right? If you have the means to affect the person favorably. So the first thing that you have to kind of bear in mind is if you approach the person and you address the issue that you want to bring to that person's attention, you're saying they're not really aware of, you have to consider, will it upset them if you address it, right? If bring it to their attention only has the effect of, making them more agitated, then you're not being effective, right? So that's one issue, right? Just one point, which is not what you were asking, but it's something to bear in mind because it's not always easy to deal with other people. The second point that he made, which is more directly answering you, and that is the sense that it implies, it underlying it assumes, and I think correctly, that all beings have a sense within themselves of right and wrong and what is beneficial. All sentient beings, because we all want to be happy ourselves. We all want to avoid suffering. So if you can appeal to that, if you can reach that level in the person, they will respond. Every human being, presumably, with at some level can, you can get through to them. So he said, so practically, how do you do that? So you said this person is acting that way sort of unknowingly, sort of like they don't realize here's the thing. They don't sort of bear, they have a certain character and they don't really, it's not in their nature or however you want to put it, to kind of notice what their own behavior is doing, the effect it's having on others, right? So what you can say is you use example. Look at this type of person, this model person. So you think of a positive model, how you want that person to sort of alter themselves and become, and give them an example and sort of have them with their own eyes sort of, look at a positive role model and sort of say, oh, I would be better off if I were like that. And then at the same time, to give them an example of the behavior that they don't realize that they're doing. And say, look at that person, look at the effect that they're having. Do you really want to be like that? And so, it's appealing to a kind of an instinct that we all have somewhere in our consciousness. And then appealing to them to sort of notice it. And then, if it goes well, they will respond.
Yes, I have.
Okay, so being told this should be the last question.
Yes, okay. So if something bad happens, it's due to bad karma, right? Either in this life or in another life, right?
Typically, yes.
Yes. So if let's say there's a man and someone takes something from him, right?
Right.
And that's because in a previous life he had bad karma. Does that mean that the man who took the thing, the second man who stole the thing,
Yeah.
does that give him bad karma? Is his action considered wrong because the other man had that thing, or is it considered just a force of nature because it was inevitable due to the cycle of karma and the bad karma that the first man
Well,
had?
it's like, I'm not for me to answer. 가르사, 그래, 자기인데 순반하시, 아니, 소소소소라, 아니, 소소소소기 잘랐던데, 꼬마 쇼라 이나르와, 배차샤나를 뭐지 순반하신, 다 소소소소 던데기, 경가소를 지 라디오가 다디 레게 왕게, 소소소소 냐마겐데 미 잘라 포네, 나탄다 세딜라, 아니, 나랑 다랑게 잘랐디, 쇼리아겐데, 던데 지상 따야 요레스. That did all the yumati chasha. That so tanda rang pogen rangi chala pongen di ani koran yan lengen sari or ves. Yeah, sure. So yes, the answer is that the person who is stealing something from you or doing something harmful to you is in fact creating karma. That is bad for them. But one way that to approach that from the perspective of the teachings that we had today is that you should feel some kind of almost remorse that you were the circumstances, for whatever reason, even unwittingly, that prompted this person to engage in that harmful, behavior towards you, and that they are doing something which is ultimately going to cause them harm. And, even though you may not have intended to do so, you are, a factor in that. And so in some way you feel, like in some way you had some role in it, and therefore you feel regret for that, and you meant to develop sense of compassion.
Okay, thank you.
Also, okay. Thank you.
少时被你真心爱多长，只让内心你的结伴。三业心度明天日外，周公南大心阿修阿修。一旦忙不如然，人家拉干你阿达呀你。Before we begin with the Rinpoche's long love prayer, the President Gloria will say some word.